A spider, almost transparent, perfectly camouflaged, practically undetectable, unknown, unrecorded, unstudied, and yet necessary. Such are the lives of many spider species, hidden, misunderstood, and often feared. To most people, spiders are unsettling. Unlike insects, they have 8 legs instead of 6. They have no antennae. Their bodies do not resemble heads and torsos. Their eyes do not blink, squint, or express emotion. Instead, they stare, motionless, black, unreadable. Their legs move in eerie rhythm, powered not by muscles alone, but by hydraulics, pumping fluid to extend their limbs. They seem alien because, in a way, they are not insects, nor close cousins of insects, but a separate ancient lineage that parted ways hundreds of millions of years ago. We share a closer ancestor with fish than insects do with spiders. They inspire fear because they do not look like us, do not move like us, and do not feel familiar. Yet, whether we see them or not, they are everywhere, inside walls, beneath leaves, in hidden burrows, suspended from strands of silk in the wind. Silent, patient, and extraordinary. While we look away in horror, they quietly hold the balance of life together. They hunt the insects that spread disease, protect crops, regulate ecosystems. We fear them, but without them, we would live in a world overrun by pests, disease, and imbalance. They are invisible architects of the living world. Over 500 million years ago, long before any spider crawled across land, their ancestors lived beneath ancient seas. One of the earliest and most mysterious of these creatures was Vetrix, a small marine predator armed with sharp, pointy appendages near its mouth, known as chelicerae. These structures, originally used to grasp and tear prey, would become one of the defining traits of spiders and their relatives. Vetrix belonged to a marine group that also gave rise to horseshoe crabs, sea spiders, and eurypterids, also known as sea scorpions, the largest arthropods to have ever existed. Some eurypterids could grow up to 2.5 meters long, dominating prehistoric oceans as powerful hunters, though they were only superficially similar to modern scorpions. In truth, spiders, scorpions, and sea scorpions are all equally related, sharing a distant marine ancestor rather than a direct lineage from one another. At some point, descendants of these ancient creatures began exploring land. Fossils show that true scorpions were among the first arachnids to step out of the water around 430 million years ago in a world that looked nothing like today. There were no trees, only small primitive plants, and the moon loomed larger in the sky. These scorpions carried with them one of the most important evolutionary tools for life on land: book lungs, layered breathing organs shaped like pages, capable of absorbing oxygen from air, not water. Around 380 million years ago, in the damp forests of North America, a creature called Attocoppus appeared, a protospider from the extinct order Uraniida. Attocoppus had silk-producing spigots on its abdomen but not yet fully developed spinnerets, so it could make silk but not weave webs. It used silk to line its burrow and protect its eggs rather than to hunt. Later, the first true spiders appeared, the Mesotheli. They had segmented abdomens, functional silk glands, fangs derived from ancient chelicerae, and a new secret weapon, venom. The age of spiders had begun. Spiders unsettle us not simply because they are small or hairy, but because their bodies are built in a way that feels fundamentally alien. They do not even have a separate head like most animals. Instead, their head and thorax are fused into one structure called the cephalothorax. There are no necks, no familiar curves, just a single hard plate with eyes, mouth parts, and legs attached directly to it. Their eyes are not compound like those of insects. Instead, they have camera-style eyes with a lens and retina more similar to human eyes than to those of flies. They stare without blinking, without emotion, reflecting nothing but black, glossy darkness. What we often call their fangs are not true fangs at all. They are highly modified versions of ancient arthropod appendages, the chelicerae inherited from our marine ancestors. These appendages evolved to pierce, inject venom, and manipulate prey. They are jointed, precise, and disturbingly efficient. Their legs, too, move differently from most animals. Spiders do not extend their legs using muscles. Instead, they pump blood into their limbs, using hydraulic pressure to stretch them outward. When the spider dies, its legs curl inward because it loses that internal pressure. This creates a motion that feels unnatural, jerky, and unsettling, unlike the muscular movement we are used to seeing. Even their breathing is different. Rather than using tubes like insects, spiders have book lungs, layered structures shaped like pages in a book. They quietly absorb oxygen from still air without motion or breath. Every inch of a spider feels unfamiliar to us because they are not just different from humans, they are even vastly different from insects. Humans are more closely related to fish than insects are to spiders. They are ancient, separate, and profoundly alien to anything we expect from life. The first true spiders, known as mesotheli, appeared over 300 million years ago. They did not yet spin aerial webs, but they possessed two evolutionary tools that would change everything: venom and silk. Their silk was not built for trapping prey. Instead, these early spiders used it to line their burrows, protect their eggs, create safety threads, and sense vibrations around their hidden tunnels. It was a survival material long before it became a hunting tool. Their abdomens were segmented, and their spinneret structures were beginning to form, marking the transition from simple silk spigots into the specialized silk-weaving organs seen in modern spiders. Mesotheli also developed venom, but not just as a weapon. Unlike snakes, spiders do not simply kill and swallow their prey. Their venom begins digestion from the outside. When they bite, their venom injects enzymes that liquefy the prey's insides. The spider then pumps digestive fluids, turning flesh into liquid, and drinks it. This method, called extraoral digestion, allows spiders to devour prey much larger than themselves. Their chelicerae, inherited from ancient marine predators, became precision tools both for hunting and feeding. Then, around 252 million years ago, came the Permian-Triassic extinction, the greatest extinction event in Earth's history. Nearly 70 to 80% of all species vanished. Forests withered, oceans emptied, and many arthropods disappeared. Yet spiders endured. When the world recovered, new spider lineages emerged, evolving new hunting strategies. Among these were the megalomorphs, large, powerful spiders such as tarantulas and funnel-web spiders. They did not build airy webs but hunted from burrows, using stealth and strength. Their fangs pointed downward instead of diagonally, perfect for stabbing downward into prey. In silence, beneath leaves and soil, the next great era of spiders had begun. Across millions of years, spiders evolved into some of the most specialized and diverse hunters on Earth. Their survival does not depend on a single strategy but on an entire library of hunting techniques shaped by environment, prey, and instinct. Some build homes, others set traps, some chase, some wait, and one species hunts without venom at all. Trapdoor spiders are silent architects of ambush. They construct underground burrows sealed with perfectly camouflaged silk-lined doors. Around the entrance, they lay fine silk threads that act as vibration alarms. When an insect brushes against these threads, the spider feels a tremor and bursts out with astonishing speed, dragging its prey below the ground before it can even react. Then there's Euloborus, one of the rare spider species with no venom. Instead of biting, it kills with silk. In less than a second, it can wrap prey in over 140 meters of silk thread, turning the insect into a tightly bound package, unable to breathe, move, or escape. Silk becomes both weapon and prison. Tarantulas rely on strength rather than toxins. With long, sharp chelicerae and powerful legs, they ambush not only insect but also small vertebrates when they find them. Their venom is mild compared to smaller spiders, but their fangs can pierce even tough skin and exoskeleton, making venom almost unnecessary. The Brazilian wandering spider carries one of the most potent toxins of any spider, yet it chooses when to use it. When biting in self-defense, it may inject no venom at all, a dry bite, to conserve its toxin for hunting. Crab spiders hide in plain sight. They do not build webs or dig burrows. Instead, they sit in flowers, camouflaged by color, waiting for pollinators to land. Their strike is precise, fast, and stored with potent venom. Jumping spiders are the visual hunters. With exceptional eyesight, complex facial markings, territorial signals, and elaborate courtship dances, they are proof that spiders hunt not just with venom, silk, or stealth, but with intelligence. A spider's web is not just a trap. It is an engineered structure built with precision, geometry, and biological instinct. When a spider begins to build, it first creates a framework of support lines, stretching silk between twigs, leaves, or any stable surface it can find. These lines define the boundaries of the structure. Once anchored, the spider constructs radial threads like spokes of a wheel. These are not sticky, allowing it to walk freely without getting trapped. Only after the frame and radials are complete does it begin weaving the spiral, the true hunting mesh, coated with microscopic droplets of glue designed to capture prey. Each thread has a purpose. Some hold weight, some signal movement, and some capture. The space between the spiral strands is not accidental. Spiders instinctively adjust the spacing depending on the prey most common in their habitat. If flies dominate, the mesh is tighter. If butterflies are abundant, the strands are spaced wider to accommodate larger wings. There is no learning involved, no improvement over time. Even a newly hatched spider constructs its first web exactly as its ancestors did, guided by inherited instructions. Because silk is biologically expensive to make, spiders do not waste it. At night, when a web becomes tattered or loses its stickiness, the spider consumes it, recycling up to 90% of the material to rebuild. But silk is not just for webs. Some spiders use it to fly. In a process called ballooning, they release strands of silk into the wind, letting air currents lift them into the sky. They can travel hundreds of kilometers, crossing fields, forests, even oceans, drifting on air like living kites. Some have been found at altitudes of over 2 kilometers. Without wings, they have learned to fly. Without maps, they have learned to travel. Nature's silent aerospace engineers. Survival for spiders is not only about hunting, but about remaining unseen, untouched, and alive in a world full of predators. Take the pink-toed tarantula, surrounded by an advancing column of army ants. Stronger animals are being ripped apart by these swarming predators in seconds. Yet the tarantula survives using a simple but extraordinary strategy. It freezes, staying completely motionless. To the ant senses, stillness means lifelessness. As long as it does not move, it becomes invisible. Other tarantulas rely on a more active defense. When threatened, they rub their hind legs against their abdomen, launching clouds of microscopic urticating hairs into the air. These hairs are sharp and irritating, and when inhaled by a predator, they can trigger severe itching, pain, or even asphyxiation. Just a single hair in the nose of a curious animal is enough to end the encounter. Some spiders retreat not into trees or burrows, but into water. Certain species are able to dive underwater, trapping a bubble of air around their body using fine haze. Others create underwater silk caves, forming true air chambers that allow them to wait safely for danger to pass, or even to hunt aquatic prey. In deserts, the 6 sand spider masters invisibility by burying itself beneath a paper-thin layer of sand. It lies perfectly still, hidden from both predator and prey, waiting with incredible patience. It is nearly impossible to see, yet fully aware of every vibration around it. Spiders also use hydraulics to move silently and quickly without making noise, perfect for escaping unnoticed. Whether in trees, sand, underground, or underwater, spiders do not rely on strength alone. They survive by understanding the world around them, by disappearing when needed, and by remaining quiet masters of adaptation. For spiders, courtship is not romantic, it is dangerous. For the male, approaching a female means walking toward a predator that might eat him at any moment. To survive, he must communicate carefully. Some males drum on the ground using their legs, sending vibrations through silk threads or leaves to signal their identity. Others perform slow, hypnotic movements, gently touching the female's legs to temporarily suppress a hunting instinct. In certain species, male spiders even tie down the female's leg with silk to keep her from attacking during mating. He must move fast, loading his pedipalps with sperm and inserting it into a small opening on her abdomen. Once the transfer is complete, there is no time for celebration. The wisest strategy is to escape before he becomes prey. The black widow is infamous for mate cannibalism. If the male makes a single mistake, he becomes her next meal. In some places, like Australia and North America, males have been observed eating parts of the female's web to increase their chances of escape. But survival is never guaranteed. In the world of spiders, mating is both creation and risk. After mating, the female takes over entirely. She produces an egg sac made of silk, carefully layering it with protective strands. In some species, she holds it in her jaws for weeks, never eating or drinking. In others, she wraps it securely and guards it with her life. Some mothers die after their young hatch, becoming their first meal. Others carry their babies on their abdomen for days, providing protection until they disperse. Hormones temporarily switch off the female's hunting behavior, preventing her from eating her own offspring. The young eventually balloon away on silk threads, floating into the world. No emotion, no sentiment. Nature's pure strategy for survival. To most people, spiders are creatures of discomfort. They do not smile, they do not blink, and they do not show expressions we can understand. Their eyes are dark and unreadable, their movements silent, sudden, and unlike any animal we relate to. They do not resemble pets, nor do they resemble us. We prefer animals whose faces we can interpret, even if it is only the illusion of familiarity. With spiders, we see nothing we recognize. So, we call them ugly, creepy, or dangerous. Yet our discomfort blinds us to their brilliance. Spiders are silent problem solvers. A newborn spider builds its first web with perfect geometry, never having seen one before. It follows patterns encoded in its biology, achieving instinctively what humans learn through study: structure, design, load distribution, symmetry. Their silk traps, ballooning flights, and tunnel structures are feats of architecture and engineering, performed without training, memory, or tools. While we judge their appearance, they protect our world. Mosquitoes and flies are among the deadliest animals to humans, spreading malaria and other diseases that have killed millions throughout history. Spiders quietly hunt them and help control their populations. Every night, in forests, fields, and even our homes, spiders reduce the number of disease-carrying insects, protecting humans without thanks or recognition. Many spiders have adapted to human environments. The American house spider builds messy webs in corners of homes, barns, and sheds, feeding on flies, ants, and small cockroaches. Some orb weavers build webs near artificial lights, which naturally attract flying insects. But not all species are thriving. Habitat loss, deforestation, and pesticides have wiped out many spiders from their natural homes. As their numbers fall, pest populations rise. The balance shifts. Whether we see them or not, spiders remain essential to the health and stability of ecosystems, and to us. We fear spiders because they do not reflect us. They do not smile, make sound, or show emotion. They do not look like anything we understand. Yet, without being like us, they quietly do what we cannot. They solve geometry without learning, engineer silk stronger than steel, hunt with precision, survive in deserts, trees, caves, and underwater. They do not rely on strength, but on design, patience, and instinct. They are chemists, architects, hunters, and caretakers. They are not monsters. They are a different kind of intelligence. Their silk may one day heal wounds, replace plastics, or inspire new technology. Their venom already serves medicine, unlocking treatments we are only beginning to understand. They have been here long before us and will remain long after. Thousands of species still go unseen, hiding in rainforest leaves, desert sands, rooftops, caves, and corners of our homes. Some are nearly invisible. Some are already disappearing. They do not try to impress. They do not perform. They simply exist, doing what nature shaped them to do, balancing life. While we look away in fear, they hold the world together, thread by thread, night after night. If nature had a hidden army protecting life, it would not look like wolves or eagles. It would look like a spider.